Hello, I'm Moira Alderson with the BBC News. The European Commission President says the EU must simplify and adapt its rules on state aid in response to Washington's massive green energy subsidy package. The plan has soured transatlantic ties, raising fears of a trade war. Ursula von der Leyen said the EU must act to address distortions created by Washington's nearly $500 billion plan to spur climate-friendly technologies. She said that properly handled, competition could spur new green solutions.
Competition between Europe and the United States can push both our industries to excel, to innovate, to transform faster, and all this is necessary. But we will also drive through this competition down costs for clean energy technologies globally. So together, the United States and the European Union, we can make clean energy more affordable worldwide if we work together.
A protester and a police officer are reported to have been killed after dozens of demonstrators stormed the governor's office in Syria's southern city of Suwaida, angry at soaring inflation and government corruption. Here's our Arab Affairs editor, Mike Thompson.
Crowds started gathering outside the governor's office quite early on Sunday morning, about 200 people calling for President Assad to be overthrown. And then later, another batch of protesters then grabbed a huge picture of Assad from the front of the building, tore that down, then got into the building amid a hail of gunfire from police, and then set the governor of Suwaida's office on fire.
West African leaders have said they want to set up a regional peacekeeping force to address growing insecurity. Following a meeting of countries from the ECOWAS region in Nigeria, officials said the force would intervene to address terrorism or to restore constitutional order. David Bamford reports.
Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari led an ECOWAS delegation on Sunday to perform a groundbreaking ceremony for the organisation's new headquarters in Abuja. Coinciding with this event was a bold declaration to set up a new West African peacekeeping force, and not only to combat Islamist or other rebel factions. ECOWAS also plans in future to intervene to ensure constitutional order in member countries, in other words, challenging anybody attempting a military coup. There are no details yet about how the force would be formed, but ECOWAS said defence chiefs will meet next month to work out the details.
Thousands of people across the Democratic Republic of Congo have taken part in protests against the M23 rebel group fighting in the east of the country. The Catholic Church called for people to take to the streets after Sunday services. Congo accuses Rwanda of backing the rebels, something Kigali denies. BBC News. Thousands of people have marched through the streets of Morocco's capital, Rabat, to protest against the high cost of living. The rally was also intended to highlight the jailing of bloggers and journalists. The Moroccan government has acknowledged that an intense drought has sent food prices soaring, helping send poverty levels back to where they were nearly a decade ago. A judge has been killed outside his house in the Mexican state of Zacatecas, which has experienced a surge in gang-related violence in the past few years. Roberto Elias was shot several times by unknown gunmen as he left his residence in the city of Guadalupe in northern Mexico. Officials in the region have been targeted by criminal groups fighting for control of the production and sale of illegal drugs. Russian officials say they've now found about 2,500 dead seals on the Caspian Sea coast in southern Russia. There's no evidence to suggest the animals were caught in fishing nets. Caspian seals have been classified as endangered since 2008. England have beaten Senegal 3-0 to qualify for the quarter-finals of the World Cup in Qatar. 2 breakaway goals just before half-time and a third soon after made for an emphatic victory in the first-ever match between the two nations. Nesta McGregor in Doha watched the match.
I think what's interesting in that in years to come, months when we look back at the tournament and we see just the scoreline 3-0, it would look like a comfortable win for England. But let's not forget that first 35 minutes was a cagey, nervous affair, and Senegal could have taken the lead twice very, very early on, and it would have been a much different game. That takes England's goal tally to 12. They've never scored more goals in a World Cup.
In the next round of the competition, England will face the defending champions France, who beat Poland 3-1 earlier in the day. That's the latest world news from the BBC.